Hello and welcome to my Ryze guide. My name is Ready to Rumble and I've played League of Legends since Season 2. I hit Gold in Season 3, Diamond in Season 4, and my peak rank was top 300 in Season 7 on EU West. I've played about 50 games of League of Legends Classic since it released, and I immediately gravitated to Ryze, which was my main champion for the first couple of years playing the game. Like most champions in League Classic, Ryze has a few base values that are different from that period, such as higher armor and health as do most champions, but for the most part he's pretty much the same. Here's a quick snapshot of everything covered in this video if you just want to jump into playing Ryze and want the basics. Starting with Masteries, here's the page I've been using. I've tested a few setups, but this is the one I found to be the best. Firstly, in defense, the first 9 points represent amazing value, and I think regardless of what champion you're playing, you should be running a variation of this. I'm running 4 in durability, giving us 108 health at level 18, along with veteran scars, giving us 30 health at level 1. Next we can see I have 3 in hardiness and 1 in resistance. I think these two masteries are very important, as in matchups where you're against someone like Pantheon, going from 22 armor to 28 armor at level 1 is game changing. I suggest you change these depending on who you expect to be laning against and their primary damage type, but if you're unsure or just want to be lazy, you can leave this as 3 in hardiness, because you'll be taking minion damage or auto damage at some point, and have 8 higher base magic resist than armor. Onto utility, I've taken Summoner's Insight, Wanderer, and Improved Recall. Macro and XP and not losing waves is really important in League Classic, as there's no catch-up XP, and freezing is really punishing. Along with high mana costs in the game, we take Teleport and Flash for this reason. Wanderer and Improved Recall make a pretty big difference over the game, because you'll be getting to lane a couple seconds faster, which means you'll catch minions that you otherwise wouldn't. I believe Summoner's Insight gives us 15 second lower cooldown on our Flash, and half second off our TP. The half second is really good at enabling a flank or catching people off guard. I have 3 points in Expanded Mind, which gives us 180 mana at level 18, so it's pretty noticeable. And then we have our early game masteries, so I've gone for 4 points in Greed, which gives us 120 gold every 10 minutes, which is okay, but the real reason we take this is for the bonus starting gold and wealth. This, along with Biscuit, allows us to have a very oppressive early game. And next, we've got Explorer. So Explorer is as good as some of these capstone masteries, in my opinion. Back in Season 3, this used to only give a 60-second ward, but in the current League Classic, it gives a full 180-second ward, so the same as a normal ward. So 75 gold of value, but also if you place this at, say, a minute 30 into the game, it's going to last all the way to 4 minutes 30. You'll be able to survive early ganks with it. It's just really broken. I don't know if this is intended or not, but you definitely need to make sure you have Explorer Ward. Following this, I've taken all 4 points in Awareness. This gets us to level 2 on the first wave, which can surprise opponents, but in general, Ryze scales really well with levels. All the mana he gets from level ups makes his spells do more damage, and then every single skill point Ryze gets is meaningful. Lastly, we grab the 3% move speed. Move speed is really important for Ryze, as he's entirely point and click, but in general, move speed's really good in League Classic. It makes him very oppressive into melee champions, and then helps you dodge or catch ranged champions. The lack of high mobility in the game at the moment makes it even better. Moving on to runes, I'm taking Magic Pen Marks, which is self-explanatory. I've got Scaling Health Seals. You can take armor if you want. It might be better in some matchups like Pantheon, but just remember we start with 28 armor from our masteries, and we get almost 4 armor a level. If you go back to Season 2 or 3, Ryze had 11 base armor, which makes sense why flat armor seals were mandatory in those seasons. Next, we've got Scaling Magic Resist glyphs. It's important to note that MR doesn't scale at all on ranged characters in League Classic, so Ryze is stuck on 30 Magic Resist without buying MR items. Taking these allow you to not have to buy Magic Resist if they only have a single magic damage champion. If you're 100% sure they have 0 magic damage on the enemy team, and you have more than 1 rune page for Ryze, you can take flat mana glyphs on a spare page. Taking CDR glyphs mean you'll usually overcap CDR when you're full build, so I don't think it's necessary. Lastly, we take Quints of Move Speed because of the previously mentioned reasons. Onto the build. Ryze has quite a dynamic build, so there's a handful of items that are good for him. Your starting items should look like this. His core items are always going to be Rod of Ages and Seraph's Embrace, but I would recommend building Seraphs quite late once you've already stacked your tier, as Ryze doesn't have amazing AP scalings and already gets a lot of damage from a stacked tier. I usually finish it 4th or 5th item. It's worth noting you can sit on components before finishing your Rod of Ages. Once you have a catalyst, if you're into a heavy AD laner and jungler, you can build a Glacial Shroud or a Negatron Cloak in magic damage situations. Once you've built Roa, you could either look to finish your defensive items, so either Frozen Heart or Spirit Visage. There will be times where you have started on building one component of either Frozen Heart or Spirit Visage, maybe just for your lane, but it's not the best against the rest of their comp, or perhaps the other damage type on their team has gotten really fed. It's okay to switch what you're building and finish the other item first. Building both Spirit Visage and Frozen Heart will overcap your CDR, but they're both amazing items, so it's worth it in the right situation. CDR is very important in League Classic, so I just want to touch upon the importance of CDR. For those that didn't play the game before Ability Haste was added in Season 11, the more CDR you have, the more effective it is. With this in mind, Ryze wants to hit the CDR cap more than any other champion in Classic. This is because of his passive, which reduces the cooldown of his other abilities by 1 second when you cast an ability. This essentially means CDR gives Ryze a positive feedback loop. Ryze Q gives you an innate CDR of 10%, so we'll start with this as a baseline. Assuming you use each ability as they come off of cooldown in a fight, our numbers are like this. So going from 10% CDR to 20% CDR gives us an 11% DPS increase. Going from 20% to 30% gives us a 19% increase. And then going from 30 to 40 gives another 27% increase. If you're not keeping track, that's a massive cumulative 67% increase in damage, going from 10 to 40% CDR. As an example, if you were to build your Archangels as soon as you finish your Frozen Heart, you'll be sitting at 30% CDR and get a roughly 21% damage increase from this purchase. However, if you bought a Kindle Gem for only 850 gold, your DPS would increase by 27%. Here's the maths behind the calculations if you're interested in seeing them. If you're planning on only buying one of Frozen Heart or Spirit Visage, you'll still need to hit 40% CDR. The item I've been using to do this is Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. This allows you to hit the 40% CDR cap whilst giving you 20% spell vamp, which is very, very good on Ryze. It's a good idea to complete this as your 4th item because it's very cost effective at 2000 gold, so you'll still hit the 40% CDR cheaply. In some games you'll need to buy Void Staff, but this isn't as important as it is on Standard League. Because of the previously mentioned lack of magic resist scaling, many champions will be around 30 to 40 magic resist when they're level 18. So outside of Spirit Visage, I think magic resist options are generally quite weak. Often people just won't buy it or very little of it, and your E will shred 24 magic resist when it's maxed, along with another 9 from your runes, which means you'll often be doing close to true damage without Void Staff. With that said, if the enemy is buying magic resist, Void Staff is very cheap and it's still a good option. For boots, I usually go Mercs or boots for swiftness. I wouldn't recommend picking Sorks over swiftness because the moose speed is too valuable and you're already hitting near true damage against a lot of the cast. Unfortunately, you are forced to go Merc treads the majority of games as CC is very long in League Classic, so 3-second taunt from Rammus or 3-second fear from Fiddle. I would say if there's more than 1 or 2 point and click CCs in the game, just go Merc treads. There is the odd game where tabbies are worth it if they have 2 very fed auto attackers like combination of Trin, Shaco, and some ADC. Full build, you should look something like a mix of these items. You want to make sure that you're hitting 40% CDR and that you have resistances covered for most of the enemy team. If the enemy team really only has one type of damage and they do not have much magic resist, you can go double spell vamp, which can be really disgusting. This build reaches 65% when you have double spell vamp and your R's on, then you do things like this. Side note, I've tested Manamune on Ryze, and whilst it has super high damage compared to other builds, maybe another 25%, it just takes too long to stack another tier. You look at a minimum of another 10 minutes. It also burns through mana super quickly, even when you have 4500 mana full build. Before resistances, you're doing around 250 extra physical damage on every Q and W when you're near full mana. I can see it being worth it if your team has 0 AD picks, but you would need to build Man Immune as soon as your tier is stacked and buy another tier for Seraph straight after. For skill order, I take this. Maxing Q makes the most sense as it's low cooldown, but there could be a possibility of maxing E first in some matchups. I haven't tested that in this patch, but I remember it being good occasionally back in Season 2 and 3. Maybe into someone that's constantly looking to jump on you like Tryndamere. There is an argument to max W over E for the longer root duration second, however maxing your E second allows you to build as tanky as you do without lacking damage. The magic resist shred is also significant, and the skill has some of the highest base damage of any ability in the game, assuming you can bounce it on an opponent several times. It also significantly helps your wave clear. With this Ryze, there isn't much of a combo. You just need to remember that your R has no cast time, and it also triggers your passive, which reduces the cooldown of all your other abilities by a second. So you can see in this clip, I'm poking Pantheon down, and what I'll do is, you can see where I poke him down here. Now, I can go in for a QW, and then if I R again, my Q will be off cooldown instantly. So you can see here, I got the really quick Q cooldown reset. You can also use your R to engage. Here we can see I run up to Ashe using the extra move speed from my R, reaching 482 move speed. I start with W, stopping her from escaping. I then lead Q into E to reduce the cooldown of my Q, allowing me to get another Q off. If I lead with E here and not Q, she would escape. In general, you just want to use your abilities as they come off cooldown, starting with your Q and weaving your W and E between Qs, but starting with W is usually best unless they're already comfortably in range. I believe that top lane Ryze is much better than mid lane Ryze at the moment. This is because you'll face much better matchups. This is for two reasons. With move speed, you can really abuse melee champions, meaning they cannot get in range to attack you without taking significant damage if they can touch you at all. You have to completely misposition for the majority of top lane roster to even attack you. If the enemy is ranged, they can trade back or outspace you. Ryze is about the same range as Annie, so good mage players with abilities that have double your range will not let you trade with them, and you'll just eat their poke. Number 2 is wave clear. Ryze really struggles against champs that can wave clear easily. One brand W or REQ on the wave will deal as much damage as you individually queuing each minion, letting them have constant priority. This allows them the time to go back to base after hard shoving a wave while you're still there dealing with the wave. This is alleviated as the game goes on when you get access to your R, but in the early game, your R will not be up every wave, even when spamming your abilities to lower the cooldown. To end the video off, here's an example of early laning phase in top lane. In this game there's 3 Master players, a couple of Diamond players, and some Emerald players. I'm laning against the Master's top laner, and this matchup is completely unplayable for the Garen. I managed to get first blood off the invade and go to lane with a tier. But keep in mind that a tier is only giving me 50 extra mana here, so it's not a crazy lead for lane. Maybe 4 extra damage on the Q at the beginning. I'll speed through here. So we can see here that the Q is doing 97 damage. Normally it's 94, I believe. And every time he walks up for a minion, I'll just Q him like this. And if we speed through the lane, you can see how much poke he takes. There's 3 Qs and he's already half health. And I'll just speed through this early laning phase. You see, he goes up, I QW him. And the wave's slightly pushing towards me, I believe. So it makes it even more difficult for him. And you see how much zoning I have. He goes for this. He misses the W, well he misses the can because I W him. He takes another Q, takes an E. And again, he can't walk up to attack me because I just W him. So I'll speed through this. Ideally, on your first back, you want to have Catalyst. A lot of the time you won't have that, but that's what you're aiming for. So look through here. I'm currently at 1700 gold total. I need another 200 gold for Catalyst. So I'm going to try and get that. I need one more wave for it at this point. Keep in mind about the Explorer Award. If I was using it this game, I would have placed it here and avoided this gank. So I wouldn't have had to blow my flash. I managed to survive. Keep in mind I have the extra move speed from my move speed masteries and runes. And I have enough for a Catalyst on my first pack. Without Garen having teleport here, he's on Ignite, he's completely ruined in this lane. The minion wave is about to bounce back, so we can see here, he goes for a couple of minions, and now it's pushing towards me, and he doesn't have TP. And freezing is really, really punishing in League Classic, so he's going to end up missing, I think it's what, let's see, I think it's 2 entire waves, or maybe like a wave and a half. And the wave's still pushing at me. We see I'm on my way to level 7 here, and he's halfway through level 6. So with this minion wave, I'm going to be a full level up. And you can see how the CS difference as well. So we can see the lane play out. Again, he cannot walk up for any minions here. I'm looking to dive the Garen now, so I'm looking to hit him with as much poke under tower. Again, it's really punishing for him to go for any of these minions. And we see Yi here, so I know I'm safe to do it. And I go for one more Q, another Q, and now he dies. And at this point, it's 9 minutes into the game, he's down 50 CS, and I'm up 1500 gold. You won't be as oppressive into every top laner, but into Garen and maybe let's say a Nasus, this is how laning should go. It's really, really difficult for these people to lane against Ryze. Here I've skipped a bit further into the game and you can see how fed I am compared to the Garen. He managed to pick up some kills roaming mid, but I've got over 100 CS lead on him. I'm almost level 18 while everyone else on the map is what, level 13, level 12, level 12. So I'm going to push here and you can see I'm going to get attacked by 3 players. Here with my Swifty boots and my move speed and my runes and masteries, I space the Ashe to try and get the W. So you see I back off, baits her to coming back into me, and then I get the W and she just gets one shot at this point. And then obviously I just triple kill them. Keep a note of how much I'm healing. This is without me even using my ult. To wrap up the video, I just want to give a few tips in League of Legends Classic. As mentioned before, there's no catch-up XP. This means catching as many waves possible or freezing waves away from your enemy is one of the best ways to gain a lead. Make sure you buy wards. Part of making sure you don't fall behind is buying wards. The trinket ward you get, which wasn't in the game back in Season 2, should only be used as a way of getting vision of an enemy when they walk into a brush. Make sure you actually buy wards and don't just rely on the trinket, it will bait you and kill you. The 75 gold investment means that you will just waste the jungler's time and it means you won't miss 3 waves when you die. It's worth the investment. Lastly, make sure you kill jungle camps. Once you have 1 or 2 items, you're able to take the golems or gromp every time they're up, either on your way to lane or when pushing tier 2 turrets, and it's almost as much gold and XP as a full wave. Your jungler literally doesn't have time to kill all the camps, they respawn way too quickly, so if they're not in the same jungle quadrant, take them and they'll be up within a minute or so. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you have questions or feedback, leave it in the comments. Thanks.